Hi, I'm Rebecca. I studied at Wyke between 2012 and 2014 and I did chemistry, biology, maths and French. So I chose to study a language at A-level because I'd done it at GCSE, and although I thought I knew what I wanted to do, I still wanted to keep other options and like pathways open for myself. And choosing to kind of study all sciences, I just thought it was a little bit would confine like my career options in the future, and it's also just another point of interest that I have. It's something different. I knew that employers look for that on CVs, and so do universities as well, because it shows a really good skill set. So I decided to study it because I thought it would just open my horizons a little bit more, give me more options, and also just tap into like a little bit of a different learning style compared to what I was going to be studying, which was just going to be like sciences and maths. So I actually come from across the river in Winterton, and there's obviously two options for colleges, but I just wanted to go somewhere that had a sense of independence. Obviously you've got the campus with the different buildings, and the canteen and the library and the atrium and everything like that, and it was just much more appealing to me. I think like Wyke gives you a kind of sense of independence even when you're only 16, but it also seemed to provide like a lot of support. I was really impressed straight away when I went for the interviews, and the teachers seemed to have a genuine interest in what I wanted to do and helping me to get there. So yeah, it was all of those things combined really, and just trying something different. What I found most difficult about learning a language is just the sheer volume of revision that you have to do. You can't really be a coaster, and you can't really just revise like the day before like I like to do. You really have to plan your time carefully in advance, listen to Nikki and the other teachers, and actually do your revision way before your exams. And that was something that I found quite difficult, because I'd kind of been used to just revising the day before, or like just going on what I knew. But if you want to get those extra, like the good grades, like the A's and the A stars and things like that, you really need to be putting in the work. So that's what I found the most difficult, and was a little bit of a culture change, shall we say, for me. And the most enjoyable thing about learning a language, I just love it. I think it's like you don't just learn the language, you learn about the culture. Obviously you're studying books and films, stuff that you would never really come across, like if you just like picked up Duolingo or something like that. And just kind of learning about like French. I did French, so French culture, watching films that I'd never seen before in French, and just seeing like the differences in the style. Also as well, I really enjoyed, we did an exchange program which was great, and I had two girls from Belgium come and stay, and I'm still friends with them now, which is so nice. So yeah, without studying language I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think compared to other subjects, it kind of offers like a little bit extra. Like you wouldn't do maths and have an exchange student from another college or anything like that. So yeah, that was something that I really enjoyed when I was learning languages. My top tips for learning a language at A-level are revise, please revise. Yeah, don't just think that you know it when you're not going to know it. There's so much to learn, but you pick it up, and the more that you revise, the more interested that you become in the subject as well, I think, because it's just like a deeper level rather than just learning vocabulary. You might like be like looking at different articles, you might subscribe to a French podcast, something like that, you know. Just revise and it will make everything easier. I think definitely what I'd recommend is just being organised from the beginning as well. Don't like kind of go into it thinking, oh, I've got like the first few weeks up till half term, like I can chill, I don't really need to do much. Just kind of get straight on it. Be organised, know what you're doing each week. Work with your teacher to kind of like come up with a plan if you're struggling with something like that. And for the vocab, just keep going over it. I mean, I was a bit of a geek. I used to kind of record things that I needed to learn, like me speaking it, and then I would listen to it on the bus, like before my friends got on it. You can do things like memorise. I'm sure there's much more like advanced technology than when I was doing it, that you can use nowadays with like flashcards. I know there's good things on TikTok now as well. Just immerse yourself in the language as much as possible in your spare time, and then naturally it will just kind of help you in your exams, because if you forget something, you know, you have something in the back of your mind that you've heard on like a TV programme or something, that you can just bring in and use that instead, rather than panicking thinking, oh my god, I don't know that set phrase. You can just do that instead. So that would be my top tip: preparation and revision, which is probably what everybody says. I'm so sorry. I chose my uni course. It was a little bit different for me, I guess. So I really wanted to be a doctor, so I chose my uni course based on wanted to be a doctor, basically. So I was going to study medicine, and it was because at that time I really thought that's what I wanted to do, and I was really set on that. But yeah, in reflection, maybe it isn't actually what I wanted to do at the age of 16. That's what I thought, which is why I'm so glad that I did French, because without that I would have just had like the sciences, and not a different subject to show that I can do different things, and I have like a different side of my brain that isn't just like science and experiments and spreadsheets. So yeah, that's what I chose to study, but I didn't end up studying that. I studied biomed. Well, my first few weeks at uni, I think, were a little bit of a whirlwind. I'm sure everybody will agree. It's such a blur, honestly. And for me, what are we now, 2021? It's about 6 years ago, which makes me feel so old. But yeah, it is a blur, and it's just so exciting. Like, what I'd say is just get involved with whatever you can. Like, if people are going out, go out. If they're going for food, go for food. You know, meet as many people as you possibly can in the first few weeks, because to be honest, like, the people that you meet in the first few weeks probably aren't going to be, well, they might be, or they might not be your best friends for the rest of your uni. You might meet people in your course if you do societies, things like that. So I'd just say immerse yourself in the culture and just everything about uni as much as you can. Get involved. It will be tiring. You'll probably be hungover, but it's great, and it's so exciting. It's such an exciting time, and you'll feel so nervous. Like, I remember feeling so nervous when I was going like in the car with all my stuff, but once you get there, you'll just forget about it, because everyone's in the same place. So in the same boat. So just get involved. Yeah, the first few weeks are a blur. You probably won't remember much of them because you'll be doing so many things, meeting so many people, but it's just a really exciting time. So yeah, look forward to it. I'm jealous. So I went to university in Liverpool, and I had an absolutely amazing time. It was so fun. And also just, it's a once in a lifetime, really, isn't it, that you get to kind of study a subject that you enjoy, meet loads of people, try loads of new things, and just kind of not have the pressure too much, because although you do have to work hard, as long as you're managing your time and you know what you've got to do around those things, you can like get a job, you can go out, you can join societies, all those sorts of things. So for me, I did a mix of all of those things, and I just had the best time. You're never going to have less money than you have when you're a student, well, hopefully. So I don't know how students do it and how we did it, but we managed to still have a really good time on a very low budget. So in my holidays at uni, I did several things, and which I wouldn't have been able to do if I hadn't done a language at A-level. So my first summer I did, well, actually for 2 summers, I worked as an au pair in Madrid, which was amazing. I mean, I did Spanish at A-level, but I did Spanish at GCSE, but then doing French at A-level just kind of, I think, pushed it for me to be able to be an au pair, because obviously they saw that I had the language skills by doing French at A-level, even though I only had Spanish GCSE. And that was just amazing, like just being immersed in a city that I've never been to Madrid before, being immersed in the city, like living with a new family, meeting the children and their friends, and it's just a really good balance. Like, I was earning money but still able to do everything that I wanted to do and travel around Spain and things like that. So I did that for 2 summers. I'm still in touch with the family, who are the cutest people ever, and they've been to England, and I've met them in London. Hopefully after lockdown I can go and see them. But yeah, I did that in 2 summers, and then also like just some holidays as well, I actually went to France, and I can't remember where else. And then in my final summer at uni, I did the classic travelling around Southeast Asia. So I went to Thailand, Vietnam and Cambodia for 6 weeks, which was amazing, yeah. And such a classic thing to do after uni, I think, nowadays. So after uni, I went to live in China for a year and studied Mandarin, and I actually managed to get a scholarship with the British Council. So I applied in, I think, like March time, and found out that I was going in June, and didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my family that I'd applied, and then just found out because I really didn't think I was going to get it. Because I studied biomed at uni, I just kind of thought, well, I really want to do this and go to China, but I would be really surprised if they picked me, because obviously I've done a STEM subject, I've not done languages at university, why would they choose me? So that's another reason why I'm so glad that I did French at A-level, because I think it just showed that I did have language skills, and I did want to learn languages. So yeah, I got a scholarship, and I did a year in China that was all paid for by the British Council as part of their Generation UK scheme, which I definitely advise people to look at, because you can do different lengths of scholarships, and it was just the most amazing time. It was like another year of uni but in a different country. I got to travel around China and more of Asia as well, obviously learn Mandarin every day as part of like a university course, and just be like submerged in a completely new culture. It's just the most amazing experience. Like, looking back on it now, I'm not really too sure how I did it. I think I'd be too scared to do it now, but it was definitely something that I would advise people to look at. British Council have got loads of, I sound like I work for the British Council, but they've got loads of schemes and scholarships and things, and teaching assistant programs that you can do all over the world, and most of them are funded, so you don't have to pay. So you just need to apply, which is great. So that's what I did after uni. And then I came back to the UK, and I worked for an events company in production. So I was producing events, like business events for different subjects and categories, which was really interesting. And I did that for about 18 months, worked my way up to be a project manager, and was just, basically in charge of doing the events and getting speakers, researching, speaking to lots of different people, meeting loads of really interesting people as well. Within that, I did the company's first international event. It was in Amsterdam, but it had speakers from all over the world, and I produced that and ran the event, and that was the company's first one. And I think, again, I was able to do that because I had done languages at A-level. They knew that I kind of was interested in European culture and knew how to kind of interact with people. Obviously spent time in Spain and studied A-level French, and I think that's why they kind of chose me to do that, because other people in the company hadn't got A-level, like languages at A-level. So again, study French or study a language. So most recently I've been working for Just Eat in their account management team as an account executive. So I've been looking after restaurants, just making sure they're okay on the platform, working with them for social media campaigns, and just making sure they're making money and getting orders through Just Eat. But I have a portfolio of restaurants that I look after, and yeah, that's something that I wanted to try doing, is working for a big tech company. It's completely different to events, but again, I think when you study a language, you can show that you've got versatility, especially if you study it alongside other subjects. So again, it kind of helped me to say, like in my interview, that I had studied French, I studied Mandarin, I studied Spanish. So all of those things really helped, I think, to land me the job. So that's what I've been doing most recently, which is very different, but also very fun. As long as you know what your USP is, I think it really helps in the application process. And then once you've got to application, you've got to the interview stage. If you get an interview, just do your research on the company, like look on Glassdoor, see what other questions have been asked. Definitely always look at Glassdoor for reviews from other employees of a company as well, because you might think this is a company that you really want to work for, but then you see the reviews of previous employees, and they're not all that they're kind of like set out to be. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. But once you get to interview, I think just be yourself. Like, it sounds so cliche, but be smiley, be positive, show that you know the company, show that you're passionate about the company. And even if it's not your dream job, pretend that it is. It's just an acting game, really, and then hopefully you'll get it. But yeah, I found it okay to find a job. I think sending out like a few applications, thinking about what you want to do, make sure you're on tracking each one as well, because if you send out a load of applications and you don't know which company you've heard back from, like, it's a waste of time basically. So get a spreadsheet going and find out which companies are going to reply when, and if you're doing grad schemes, like when's the deadline, things like that. Yeah, that's a world away now. The world seems a world away for me. Well, it's currently the beginning of March, and I am due to start a new job on Monday at number 10 Downing Street as communications officer for the Prime Minister's office. So it's something that I'm really excited for. It's what I've wanted to do for ages. I just find it really difficult to get into. So yeah, I'll be starting that on Monday, and my goal basically is to get into the Foreign Office, which is why I'm again so glad that I studied languages, and just been like immersed in different cultures through things that I've applied for and done at uni and at college as well. So yeah, so it's taken me 2.5 years basically to get to where I want to be, but none of it's a regret because I've had such good experiences and gained so many skills from doing the different jobs. So that's something that I'd say as well, is that you might think, like, I thought I wanted to be a doctor and that was what I wanted to do, and that was everything I was doing at the time was to be a doctor, but I don't want to be a doctor anymore, and I knew that pretty much in like a year of being at uni, or a couple of years. So don't think that just because you studied like all of these things at A level, it means that you have to do a certain thing. It doesn't. And that's why I'd always say, like, I always advise people to study a language, because it just gives you that little bit of flexibility, and shows that you have a different skill set that you can use. And I fall back on that a lot in interview, like even now, like I've been working for 2.5 years. I think having studied languages and having done different things through having studied languages, it's really helped me with applications. But yeah, I'm gonna be a communications officer at number 10 for the Prime Minister's office. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing.